Hey, just parked. I'll be there in 2. That was the last message Sade Robinson ever sent. In the prime of her youth was the 19-year-old college student, so vibrant and full of life. She got dressed, did her edges, and steps out for a simple dinner with a guy that she had just met. I mean, this was something so normal to the point of feeling kind of mundane almost. She walks out of her place and heads for what she thought and hoped would be the beginning of a beautiful encounter, one filled with excitement and first date jitters. But by the next morning, her body was being dismembered and scattered all across Milwaukee. This wasn't a crime of passion, nor was it committed in retaliation. It was simply a predator on a hunt, playing nice for just long enough. Hello there, welcome to Crimes Digested. This is a place where we try to digest senseless crimes, okay? If you're new here, welcome. And if this is not your first time seeing this face, I just want to take a quick second to say a quick thank you for taking time out of your day to join me on this channel once or twice a week, depending on my depression. We attempt to delve into some of the most perplexing true crime stories happening around us almost on a daily basis. Most of these stories are sad, some are unbelievable, and sometimes they're unexpectedly tragic. But more than anything, these are stories that constantly remind us of the dark side and the creepy nature of humanity. And as always, today's story does not disappoint, unfortunately. So I invite you to join me as we delve into this morbid and bizarre case, a story that will make you honestly look at online dating with a little bit of extra skepticism, just a little bit. But very quick disclaimer, and then we'll jump into the story, I promise. Everything in this story, this video, is alleged, and sometimes my own personal opinion, that nobody asked for, unsolicited as it may be, is my opinion, But most of the information in this video is what you can also find online. So I do encourage you to please form your own opinion. And if you have any additional information, if you notice anything wrong or misleading about this video, I do encourage you to leave them down below in the comment section so we can all learn from each other. As I always say, it's never too late to learn, okay? And as always, let's try to be mindful and respectful to one another. If you comment in the comment section so that we can foster a safe space for every single person to share their thoughts and their opinions and what they ate and whether they pooped. But yeah, with that, let's get into it. Sade Robinson was born in 2005, which feels like just yesterday, and I feel like a person saying that. She was raised in Milwaukee, and she was proudly repping her city every opportunity she got, okay? She was 10 toes deep, okay? She wanted the best out of life. She had big goals and bigger dreams for the future. A hardworking young woman who worked at this pizza shuttle, and yes, this is nothing glamorous, but she was gonna be a glamorous woman in the future, okay? She was working so hard, picking up every shift she could in the hopes of saving money. She wanted to save up and go to school to realize her dream of becoming a dental hygienist. Smart lady, huh? Her friends describe her as being just this goofy, quote, silly, smart, and sarcastic as hell. Just my kind of girl, Because one thing about a sarcastic person, listen, we use sarcasm as our way of showing affection. We will tease you to show you affection, but just don't get sarcasm and vindictive behavior confused. That's it. Anyways, Sade was well known for just having this playful personality, you know. She had a TikTok account that was full of dance challenges, outfit checks, you know, food reviews. She is my kind of girl. I'm so serious. The girl had vibes. She lived on Milwaukee's northwest side with her mom and her two siblings. She had no enemies. At least not any that anyone can really like think of or knew of. She wasn't having or living a sketchy lifestyle. And that's not to say that people who dabble in suspicious lifestyles deserve this level of cruelty. I'm just pointing out the fact that Shawty was your average run-of-the-mill girl. A girl like you and I, if you're a girl. Just a girl trying to make a living. But like with everything in life, just when you start to enjoy something, when you start relaxing, letting go, enjoying life, that's when things go south. Because on April 1st of 2024, Shawty met a man named Colton True. Sources vary, but some say they met on Facebook dating, which I didn't know was a thing until recently, okay? I didn't know, I'm sorry. Some say they met on Bumble. The source of their encounter is hard to really pinpoint, but one thing for certain was the fact that the two met online. They met online where both were behind a screen, and the thing about that is the fact that people can be anybody. A person could be anything while presenting himself or themselves as someone else or something else. This case is eerily similar to another case that I did, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'm just telling you right now, I highly recommend it. You should check it out. You would not be disappointed, okay? But in a very similar fashion, the two people matched and they hit it off immediately. They started chatting, pretty casual at first, nothing too deep, you know. Colton seemed older, like a little awkward, but polite. They agreed to meet for dinner in Milwaukee's third ward, which is an upscale area with trendy bars and patio dining. I mean, as far as first dates go, so far so good, right? But as Shawty was preparing to head out, she did something every girl is told to do, or at least you learn to do at some point before you meet someone new. Shawty sends a text to her best friend in a light-hearted tone. She makes a joke. If I don't text back by midnight, he killed me. Laughing emoji, crying face emoji. It was a joke, obviously. At least that's what it was supposed to be. But what was meant to be a cute little joke, which who among us can say that they've never cracked such a dark joke like that? Even I've sent people in my life my location and the other person's full government name, if they tell you the truth anyways, with a message along those same line. It's a pretty common routine thing, if I do say so. I'm meeting so and so at this place for this long. If I disappear, you know who to report. We also hope that the worst case scenario never happens. But it was not a joke, at least not in Shawty's case. What was meant to be a cheeky joke, a glib, turned into every girl's worst nightmare. Security footage captured Shawty parking her car at around 6:42 p.m. She walks at a brisk pace into the restaurant. Tide House is the name of the restaurant. She's wearing this cropped like denim jacket with gold hoops and her signature twist out. The girl she represents, okay? She meets Colton True at the bar. They order drinks, appetizers. Nothing alarming. At least that's according to the server that night anyways. She leaves with him at around 9:15 p.m., which is still pretty relatively early in the night. But that was the last time she would be seen alive. The next day on April 2nd, a human leg was found on the shore of Watermont Park in Goodhigh. about 12 miles from where Sade had her dinner date. Just a leg, cleanly cut at the hip, still wearing a sock. To say the police were baffled, that would be the understatement of the century. The body part found had no ID, no blood trail, not even a head. It took 2 days, 2 full days, and dental records to confirm that the leg belonged to Sade Robinson. Now, let's really quickly change gears, okay? Very, very quickly to Colton. The 37-year-old Colton True was a white male who lives in West Alice. And here's what you need to know about Colton, okay? And there's a lot to know about him, okay? Because in 2018, he drove high on computer duster fumes. I thought I've seen it all. I thought I've heard it all. I thought I know every possible way to get high, but I am naive and sheltered, so every day I learn something new. But he was so high on this duster fume, he ends up killing 5 Girl Scouts and a mother in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. He served some time, but just gets out on early release because America, am I right? He moved to Milwaukee very quietly, supposedly, possibly to have a fresh start, which, it seems like he had gotten because somehow nobody knew who he was. Shadia didn't know either. He never told her. And how can he? Where do you even start that conversation? Hey, by the way, just so you know, I have the blood of like several people on my hand, and that's because I'm kind of dumb, irresponsible. I may or may not also be a little bit of a psychopath. When people talk about icebreakers, I doubt this is what they had in mind. I don't think this is exactly what they had in mind, okay? And remember, the man was running away from his past. He used a new name, for crying out loud, on his dating apps. New profile, new town, new city. But that's about where the changes end. Because on the inside was still the same monster. The same Colton True. When police found out that Colton was her last contact, they decided to pay him a visit on April 4th. And when they searched his apartment, they discovered a room full of undeniably, unquestionably horrifying items. Authorities found blood on the floor, to start with, some bleach bottles and rubber gloves, a meat cleaver with tissue remnants still on it, and parts of a human torso in the freezer. According to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner, Shade's body had been dismembered post-mortem, and the method of her dismemberment was very likely with both manual tools and electric saws. The cause of her death was no less brutal, though it was concluded that she passed from stabbing to her neck twice, then silence. I want to say he didn't torture her because we've seen or heard some crazy and unhinged killings, but that depends on each person's definition of torture, right? Personally, I think the fear leading up to that last second of her death, the fear and betrayal that she felt in that split second when she realized what was happening, she realized this is who she's with, that would have been torture. She didn't do anything wrong, but I'm sure just like any of us, most of us, she probably in that split second questioned herself. She realized she misjudged. She put her trust in the wrong person. The trust that she had built in the little time that they knew each other, it was shattered just like that. So quickly. In that split second, fear probably took root in her heart, and it only takes a second. But if that affected him, he certainly didn't show it. Because right after the stabbing, he went to work cutting her into pieces. Colton was arrested on April 5th after police tracked surveillance footage of Sade leaving with him, and at some point they found out that he even torched her car. But immediately after he was arrested, he denied his actions. Of course he did. She left around 11. I was asleep. That's his explanation. But whether he knew this or not, his actions were actually being recorded. His building's hallway camera, whether he knew was working or not, showed him dragging a large duffel bag at around 2:17 a.m., the same time he allegedly was asleep in bed. And the neighbors, they just all night long kept hearing tools clanking, metals. What could he be possibly doing so late in the night? And when presented with this evidence, he decided to play a different angle. Zero emotion, he confesses, I panicked. I didn't mean to kill her. I was scared. I didn't want to go back to prison. That's what scared him. Not her screaming, not her in pain, or even the thought of her life that was being stuffed. His restriction of freedom is what scared him. The question hanging over this confession, however, is why? What did he do that was worse than killing her? What was so scary to go to jail that he would rather commit murder for? None of it made any sense. It made no sense at all. And his actions prior to the arrest, that didn't help him either. Because investigators pulled Colton's search history, the interweb. And just for context, here are some highlights of his browsing history. How to dispose of a body fast. Can police find DNA in lake water? How long does it take before a body starts to smell? He also visited 5 different porn sites just hours after the murder. Like nothing happened. Just moved on with his life. And the creepiest part is the fact that he left his dating profiles up and active, in my opinion. And wouldn't you know it, he even matched with another woman. Literally 2 days after killing Sade. There is no question about the likelihood of this new woman, being his next prey. By June 2025, Colton True faces first-degree intentional homicide. He faces mutilation of a corpse, obstruction, and a felon in possession of a weapon he shouldn't have been having in the first place. Any hope of him getting out on bail seems slim to none, because his bail was set at a whopping number of $5 million, and he pleaded not guilty, but of course he did. I saw a video of what looks like a preliminary hearing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was tearfully insistent that he was innocent and that he hopes the truth comes out. But I'm so confused by him. I'm so confused. He's not making any sense. 1 minute, he didn't do it. The next, he didn't have a choice because he was scared. He was scared of going to prison. But then the very following second, he hopes the killer gets caught. What do you mean? And what about the DNA evidence found at your place? What do you have to say about that? The final trial is set for the end of 2025, but if his public defender's posturing is anything to go by, it seems like they're trying to shoot for an insanity plea. But the state, on the other hand, I think they're ready to go down, okay? They're trying to seek for a life without parole. And during one of her rare interviews, Sade's mom, through tears, told reporters, quote, "My baby didn't deserve to be thrown away like garbage." She was light. She was joy. She had plans. And that she did. During that same hearing previously mentioned where he was doing all that, she's seen begging him to tell them where the rest of her body was. Just please, he's done the worst he could possibly do. Please. But he doesn't even give her the decency of acknowledging her presence. Sade's sister also made a statement. And she says, quote, she was just trying to find love. And this is what she got. During a very emotional impact statement, she explains how she's terrified of people, of meeting new people, how meeting people has become so daunting for her because, I mean, she doesn't know what's gonna happen. She doesn't know what could come out of it. Knowing that her sister was taken so soon from them, just snatched from them, just because she went out to meet someone she thought that she could trust enough for a few hours of her time. This young woman is now traumatized for life, and for what? So a sick person could be let loose into society. The community raised nearly $60,000 for funeral costs and mental health support for the family, and because there was no full body discovered or left to be viewed, her funeral was closed casket. The fact that another young black woman was murdered by yet another man with a violent history who claims to have possibly cared for her. A man with such a history who was still welcomed back into society without question. The irony of it wasn't lost on anyone. And again, I hate to bring race into these cases because as hard as it may be to believe or looks, I do try to remain as unbiased as I can, but let's call a spade, okay? If we're being honest, a few questions are left hanging over us. Questions such as, if Colton had been a black man, would he have been able to walk out of that prison so soon? After recklessly taking the lives of so many people, would they have let him go? If Sade had been a white woman, would the media have blown this up faster? Because for some times before, during, and even after her case started gaining traction and becoming public, many news outlets remained extremely quiet as crickets. The story broke days after the murder because, well, nobody was paying attention or even seems to care enough. And so once again, a black woman went missing, and there was no waves in life, no change in the regular circadian rhythm of life and society. Just people hit a snooze on her story. But a rightful rage and anger was felt through multiple social media platforms like Reddit, TikTok, and Twitter. It was an explosion of rage of people wanting to know, why exactly was this man even out of prison? What proved that he was someone that should be out in public? Someone comments, quote, this is why dating apps scare me. Some outcries for change with the hashtags like say her name, Sade Robinson, became pretty widely spread in a TikTok or under a TikTok post. Someone posted, quote, black women deserve to grow old. Someone else stitched her TikTok saying she was just vibing and he saw her as disposable. There's a GoFundMe fraud or scam warning now. Yes, another one. I don't understand. It's baffling how callous some people can be, so willing and so ready to easily profit off of someone else's misfortune. Like, the moment something happens, all sorts of characters, unsavory characters, come out of the woodwork to take advantage, to use and misuse, because multiple fake accounts try to profit off of her name, try to gain out of her. Even in her death, she was afforded so little respect. This is another one of those cases that haunts and keeps you on edge because it was just so ordinary. A dinner date, a smile, a closing door behind you, and then nothing. You can't go back to the seconds, minutes, hours prior to that encounter. Sade Robinson didn't die because she was reckless. She died because someone who looked harmless enough was anything but. She died because of the trust she put in human. Because this man saw her as disposable, so he cut her up and scattered her remains like one would an old t-shirt. There were no warnings, none, no signs. He had no weapons on him, no creepy messages to send off alarms, you know? She just showed up. He didn't let her leave. He got a second chance at life through the justice system, and she lost her life because of that. He decided to ruin so many people's lives in the process, and the 19-year-old Sade Robinson never made it to her 20th birthday. She was left almost forgotten, chopped up. But her story will not be forgotten. She will live on. And I would love to know your thoughts on this case below in the comments. Do you do online dating? What do you think? This story is so sad, I don't even know what to say. But if you do online dating, what do you do to stay safe? Any tips and tricks? Don't get keep, okay? Sharing is caring, alright? Also, don't forget to hit that like because that's caring, and subscribe, that's also caring, if you haven't already. And if there's any case that you're interested in, please leave them below in the comments. I'll take a look into it and we can digest it together because I'm caring. But with that said, please stay safe, stay curious, look out for people around you, and try to meet people you don't know in well-crowded areas. Keep your eyes on the people around you. Also let people know where you'll be going, okay? And make sure your date knows it too. I always make a point to make sure they know. I sneak it into conversation. The number of people that know where I am, they gonna know before I leave. You know, I'm like, anyways, my brother knows I'm here, my sister-in-law knows I'm here, my best friend knows I'm here, my friends, all of them. It's in the group chat. They know your name. Just in case they want to get any funny ideas, I make sure they know, okay? But please stay safe. Look out for each other. Stay out of trouble. And with that said, I'm just gonna wish you a great day. I hope you have a fantastic day. I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe. Again, look out for each other. Bye.